The Cleveland Browns just made a move that's got fans talking, and it's not exactly what most people expected. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, officially confirmed that Shedeur Sanders will be the backup to Dillon Gabriel. And honestly, the way Stefanski delivered the news says a lot more than the words themselves. His body language, the pauses, the gestures, it all points to one thing. This wasn't his decision. Rumors are already swirling that Jimmy Haslem, the team owner, may have stepped in to make the call. It's not unusual for owners to influence key roles, but when you see a coach hesitate or shift uncomfortably during a press conference, it raises questions. Why would a player like Shedeur Sanders, who many argue has the talent to start, be held back? Fans are dissecting every word, every shrug, every subtle expression, trying to figure out the story behind the story. The Cleveland Browns just made a move that's got fans talking, and it's not exactly what most people expected. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, officially confirmed that Shedeur Sanders will be the backup to Dillon Gabriel. And honestly, the way Stefanski delivered the news says a lot more than the words themselves. His body language, the pauses, the gestures, it all points to one thing. This wasn't his decision. Rumors are already swirling that Jimmy Haslem, the team owner, may have stepped in to make the call. It's not unusual for owners to influence key roles, but when you see a coach hesitate or shift uncomfortably during a press conference, it raises questions. Why would a player like Shedeur Sanders, who many argue has the talent to start, be held back? Fans are dissecting every word, every shrug, every subtle expression, trying to figure out the story behind the story. Even the coaching staff's reactions are turning heads. Offensive coordinator Tommy Reeves, who usually keeps things neutral, praised Sanders more than expected. That kind of approval from a coach in the know often hints at bigger forces at play behind the scenes. And when you combine that with Stefanski's careful phrasing, focusing on what's best for our players, rather than giving a straight answer, you start to get the picture that there's more drama here than meets the eye. In this video, we'll break down every detail, Stefanski's subtle hints, the potential influence of the owner, and what this decision really means for Shedeur Sanders and the Browns season. Stick around, because the full story is far more intriguing than the announcement itself. The Cleveland Browns just dropped a decision that's sending shockwaves through the fan base. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, officially confirmed that Shedeur Sanders will be the backup to Dillon Gabriel. And while that might sound straightforward on paper, the way Stefanski delivered the news tells a very different story. From the moment he addressed the press, his body language was telling. Subtle shoulder shrugs, brief pauses, and a tone that didn't exactly scream excitement. For anyone watching closely, it almost seemed like Stefanski was holding back his true feelings, hinting that this choice wasn't entirely his. So why make this move? On the surface, it's easy to say it's just a lineup decision. But when a coach shows visible hesitation, it often points to influence from higher up in the organization. In this case, all signs suggest that Jimmy Haslem, the team owner, might have had the final say. It's not uncommon for owners to step in on high-profile decisions, but when it involves a young quarterback with starter-level talent like Sanders, it naturally raises eyebrows. Fans and analysts alike are wondering if the decision was driven by strategy, politics, or something else entirely behind the scenes. Adding to the intrigue, even other members of the coaching staff seemed unusually vocal in their praise. Offensive coordinator Tommy Reeves, who typically keeps things measured, spoke highly of Sanders' abilities, a reaction that seems almost out of character. When multiple coaches are forced to align publicly with a decision, it often suggests that the call didn't originate from them, but rather from management. And then there's the bigger context. Sanders isn't just any player. Many argue he has the potential to be a starting quarterback. And yet here he is in a backup role. It's a situation that's already generating debate across social media, with fans dissecting every moment of Stefanski's announcement and speculating about what it means for the team's dynamics moving forward. This is more than just a roster update. It's a story about power, influence, and the pressures of the NFL. In the following sections, we'll dive deeper into the owner's potential role, the reactions from the coaching staff, and how this decision could shape Sanders' future. But first, let's break down Stefanski's announcement itself and why, for those paying close attention, his body language spoke louder than any words he said. While the announcement of Shedeur Sanders as the backup was made by Kevin Stefanski, all signs point to Jimmy Haslem, the Browns owner, playing a major role behind the scenes. In the NFL, it's not unusual for owners to have a say in high-profile decisions, but when you consider Sanders' talent and the reactions from the coaching staff, Haslem's influence seems especially significant here. Stefanski's subtle hesitation, the way he carefully chose his words, and his visible body language all suggest that this wasn't a decision he was fully comfortable with. Reports and fan speculation have already started to circulate, hinting that the owner may have slammed the hammer down when it came to Sanders' role. While these remain unverified, the idea isn't far-fetched. Owners often step in when there's pressure to protect the franchise's direction, media narratives, or even internal team politics. And in a situation involving a young, high-potential quarterback, the stakes are even higher. It's also worth noting that this type of intervention can create tension, both publicly and behind closed doors. Coaches may feel torn between loyalty to their players and following the chain of command. In Stefanski's case, his subtle gestures, shrugs, pauses, and carefully measured phrasing hint at that internal conflict. It's clear that while Sanders may be the backup officially, the decision has stirred questions about who really controls the team's quarterback hierarchy. Fans online are debating what this could mean for the Browns season. Some argue that Haslem is trying to manage the team's long-term strategy, while others see it as interference that could frustrate both Sanders and the coaching staff. Whatever the case, it's a reminder that in the NFL, decisions are rarely just about performance. They're often influenced by personalities, authority, and sometimes a touch of drama behind the scenes. Even with the owner's influence, the reactions from the Browns coaching staff have added another layer of intrigue. Offensive coordinator Tommy Reeves, who typically keeps praise measured and professional, spoke unusually highly of Shedeur Sanders. For someone in his position, this level of public approval is unexpected, which makes it stand out even more when combined with Stefanski's apparent reluctance. It almost feels like the coaches are being pulled in two directions, supporting the player while also aligning with management's decision. Reeves' comments suggest that Sanders has earned genuine respect from those who work with him day in and day out. Yet, the fact that this praise comes in a context where the backup decision may not have been Stefanski's choice hints at subtle tension behind the scenes. Fans have noticed that the language coaches use during press conferences often carries hidden meaning. In this case, the unusually positive remarks could be a way to publicly back Sanders without fully endorsing the management-driven decision. It's also telling that other coaches and staff members are staying neutral or carefully worded in their statements. In the NFL, coaches often have to walk a fine line between supporting their players and following the chain of command. Sanders' situation highlights that balance perfectly. While he's clearly respected within the team, his role as backup, despite his talent, shows that sometimes politics and organizational hierarchy can outweigh pure performance. This dynamic between coaches and management has fans debating what's happening behind the closed doors at the Browns facility. Is it a temporary decision meant to protect Sanders' development? Or is it a sign of tension between the coaching staff and the owner? Either way, the coaching staff's reactions have provided subtle clues about the real story. And it's a story that's far more layered than the official announcement suggests. Kevin Stefanski's comments during the press conference offered more than just an update. They revealed subtle hints about his true feelings on the decision. On the surface, he kept things professional, emphasizing that he always thinks about what's best for our players and focusing on Sanders' development. But for those paying attention, the small details in his delivery spoke volumes. His pauses, slight shoulder shrugs, and measured tone suggested that while he respected the decision publicly, he might not fully agree with it. When asked about Sanders' readiness to step in as the backup quarterback, Stefanski carefully avoided giving a strong endorsement. Instead, he highlighted the responsibilities of a backup QB, being ready at a moment's notice, supporting the starter, and understanding the unique challenges of the role. On one hand, it was a factual explanation. On the other, it subtly reinforced that Sanders' talent arguably exceeds the backup position. His phrasing hinted that Sanders is capable of much more, and that the decision to keep him behind Gabriel may have been influenced by factors outside pure performance. Stefanski also reflected on the importance of being intentional with decisions involving young quarterbacks. While it sounds routine, in the context of his body language and tone, it comes across as a gentle way of signaling disagreement. He appears to be balancing loyalty to Sanders, his coaching philosophy, and the chain of command within the organization. A delicate tightrope that many NFL coaches must navigate. For fans, Stefanski's remarks are a goldmine for speculation. Every word, gesture, and pause offers insight into the internal dynamics of the Browns' quarterback situation. It's clear that Sanders has the support of his coaches in principle, but the public comments reveal the subtle tension that exists when ownership and coaching perspectives don't fully align. Being a backup quarterback in the NFL is far more complicated than most fans realize, and Shedeur Sanders stepping into this role brings those challenges into sharp focus. A backup isn't just a placeholder. They have to be ready to perform at a moment's notice, fully understand the game plan, and support the starter both on and off the field. For Sanders, who many believe has starter-level talent, adjusting to this role requires both patience and discipline. The life of a backup quarterback is filled with constant preparation and mental resilience. While the starter gets the spotlight during games, the backup is studying every play, analyzing opponents, and preparing for scenarios that may never come. Sanders now faces the unique task of staying fully ready while also managing expectations, both his own and those of the fans who expected him to start. Every practice, every snap in warm-ups, and every meeting becomes a chance to prove his readiness. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the contrast between Sanders' potential and the role he's been assigned. Many argue he should already be the team's starting quarterback, yet he's being asked to embrace a supporting position. That tension between talent and role creates an underlying drama that fans can sense even without seeing it on the field. This dynamic also reflects a broader truth in professional football. Talent alone doesn't always dictate opportunity. Organizational decisions, internal politics, and ownership influence can all shape a player's path. For Sanders, being the backup isn't just about waiting for a chance. It's about proving that he can handle pressure, remain ready, and eventually earn the role many believe is rightfully his. The stage is set, and all eyes will be on how he navigates this challenge. As soon as the announcement went public, fans and analysts began speculating about what it really means for Shedeur Sanders and the Browns. Social media lit up with theories, debates, and what-if scenarios, with many questioning why a player of Sanders' caliber isn't starting. Rumors suggest that internal politics and management influence may have outweighed pure talent in this decision, and it sparked a lot of online chatter about the team's direction. Some reports claim that the owner, Jimmy Haslem, is taking a hands-on approach to the quarterback hierarchy. And while these claims aren't verified, they help explain why the coaching took's. Staff's reactions have been carefully worded. Fans are dissecting every clip, every interview, and every subtle gesture, looking for clues about what's really happening behind closed doors. It's the kind of drama that fuels debate, speculation, and excitement in equal measure. Other fans are focused on Sanders' personal journey. Seeing a highly talented young quarterback being asked to wait his turn can be frustrating, but it also highlights his resilience. Online communities are already sharing opinions about how he might respond, whether he'll be ready to shine when called upon, and if this role as backup could ultimately prepare him for a stronger future as a starter. The buzz around Sanders' situation is a reminder of how much attention NFL fans pay to both the on-field and off-field storylines. Every move, comment, or gesture can be analyzed and debated. While nothing about these rumors is confirmed, the conversation itself shows just how invested people are in Sanders' journey and the Browns' decisions. Whether you agree with the choice or not, there's no denying that it's created a storyline that fans can't stop talking about. And that story is far from over. Looking at the full picture, the situation with Shedeur Sanders is far more complex than a simple backup announcement. Kevin Stefanski's careful phrasing and subtle body language suggests that he may not fully agree with the decision, while the coaching staff's unusually high praise highlights both Sanders' talent and the influence of management behind the scenes. Add Jimmy Haslem's likely involvement, and you have a mix of organizational strategy, internal politics, and player development, all colliding in one high-stakes scenario. For Sanders, this moment is both a challenge and an opportunity. Being a backup isn't about sitting on the sidelines. It's about preparation, resilience, and staying ready for any chance to. Prove yourself. While many fans believe Sanders deserves to start, this period could serve as a proving ground, showing how he handles pressure, adapts to team dynamics, and positions himself for future leadership. His response will say as much about his character as his talent. From a fan perspective, the story has everything that keeps people talking: controversy, speculation, and the tension between potential and decision-making. The Browns' quarterback situation isn't just a roster choice. It's a reflection of how authority, talent, and strategy intersect in professional football. Every move, gesture, and comment from the team feeds the conversation online, keeping fans engaged and invested in Sanders' journey. Ultimately, this decision raises questions that go beyond just one game. Could the choice to make Sanders a backup impact the Browns' season more than anyone expects? Will this challenge fuel him to become the quarterback everyone believes he can be? The answers aren't clear yet, but one thing is certain: Shedeur Sanders' story is just beginning, and every fan will be watching closely to see what happens next.